think the two biggest things that we're most excited to talk about, other than that Firefight is back, which I think fans will be super excited about, is the fact that we have full matchmaking support now. So you'll never have to play Firefight by yourself ever again, or hope that someone's online on your friends list so you can play with them. That's really exciting for us. But the other thing is Firefight's level of customization now is pretty insane. We kind of wanted to break it down and let players do almost anything they can think of and really open up the entire process of what creates Firefight and allow players to, tweak and change that and then, save versions of their own game variants and share them with their friends just like they do in Halo 3 multiplayer.
Very cool. Can you give us a taste of some of that customization? So is this like you can choose the waves of enemies you want to come at you, the difficulty, and just kind of get crazy with that and what you want to face off in the match?
Yeah, I mean, it's down to what type of AI you want in every single wave. Nice. And now we even do things like custom skulls. So the idea that you can decide what player traits and what AI traits make up what this new skull is. So we have 3 new custom skulls that are unique to each variant. So we've got our red, yellow, and blue skulls. You set those up however you want. You can turn them on and off. We exposed the ability to turn those on and off in each separate round. We kind of had all that working behind the scenes in ODST, and now it's completely laid out in front. We let players do whatever they want with it.
There's also a few new weapons we've seen tonight, the target locator and then also a new armor ability. Can you talk about those a little bit and kind of give us a lowdown on the damage or protection that can kind of give you?
Yeah, so the target locator is essentially a target painter. The Spartans grab it. It comes down and the weapon drops. Longsword flies over, drops off randomly. There's always going to be a target locator there if you have weapon drops turned on, which is another option. When you use it, you basically paint an area of the terrain, or you can even paint individual units like a Wraith or even down to a Grunt if you wanted to, and it will follow him for a little bit. About 10 seconds later, we call in an artillery strike, and it just decimates anything in that particular area. Very powerful. And then you also mentioned the drop shield, which is a new armor ability that we are unveiling tonight. And it's essentially, think of it as a proto bubble shield. So it's similar in how it functions to the bubble shield from Halo 3, but now it has health. So if you take a few hits, you're actually going to see it change color, and it is closer to being dead. If it takes enough damage, it will disappear. It still has a time limit like the Halo 3 bubble shield, but the other really cool feature about it is that it will regen your health when you're inside it. So we named the loadout Medic for a reason. You start with DMR, AR, and drop shield, and you can actually be the medic for your team if you're out of health packs or you're out in the middle of the battlefield and someone's low on health. They're like, I need a drop shield. The guy throws it down. They run in. They're protected. Now, it doesn't immediately give you your health back. It's pretty slow, so you have to sit in there for a little bit and expose yourself. And if that thing gets destroyed, you don't get your health back, but you have to wait for the timeout to happen again and the guy to use the drop shield again. Everything that you're seeing tonight is what you're going to see in the final game. I mean, there's things that we aren't talking about or showing yet, but really, it's funny. We're showing Firefight now, and we're really kind of opening up the Reach sandbox because you can go down right now downstairs and play and see all the new Grunt variations. You can see the Brutes and play against them. You can play against the Skirmishers right now, the new Hunters, like the Elites, which are insane and awesome, and they're back, right? They're so much fun to fight. And all that stuff it's like we just say, here's everything, play with it.
And also Firefight, I'm assuming, carries over what we saw in the beta with the maps all being taken straight from the campaign. How many maps will we see in Firefight when Reach launches?
We're not talking about the total number yet, but right now we're showing 2 of the maps, and kind of the cool thing we're doing, similar to what we do with the multiplayer maps, is they are taken from campaign, but those areas are so heavily played in a multiplayer fashion. With Firefight, for example, like tuned to how the level flows and how the AI come through it. Obviously, it's different for a Firefight space versus a multiplayer space, but we still kind of take those same core tenets and make sure the map is fun to move around in. But we're also doing really neat things like changing the weather or turning it on and off, or changing the environmental ambient settings, so the place actually feels different from when you played it in campaign, which is really neat too.
So far, you've unveiled quite a bit between the beta and now E3, but you kind of hinted that there's more to come. I'm not going to ask you to give me specifics, but can you kind of talk about that?
Yeah, there's actually a lot more to come. You know, we've talked about Forge, that it's around. There's some really cool things with Forge that obviously we're not talking about yet, but when we start to, fans will be really excited about. There's some other things too that are going to blow people's minds that I can't talk about yet, but they're awesome. So yeah, there's plenty more things that we haven't talked about yet in Reach that I think players will be very excited about, and some of that we're just going to hold till the game ships and let players experience it on their own. But yeah, there'll still be a few pretty big reveals before all said and done.
All right, based on what we've seen tonight in Firefight 2.0, what is something that's really kind of stuck out to you and something that personally you really enjoy seeing or think the fans are going to get a kick out of?
I think the fans are going to just get a kick out of playing against elites again. I mean, I think it's one of those weird, subtle things that when people sit down and they kind of start to interact with them again, they get that old nostalgic feeling of Halo 1. And in a lot of ways, Reach reminds me of Halo 1. And I think players are just going to really dig that, because it's kind of like coming home and playing the game they loved 10 years ago all over again, but it's with all these crazy new features.